Assalamu alaikum students, I hope you all are fine. Students, we are in unit 1, that is fundamentals of computer, and today we will talk about the basic operations of a computer, or further we will see the computer software, we will define the computer software, and we will also talk about the types of software we have in computer. First of all, how does a computer work? The computer performs 4 basic operations to carry out any task. They are input, process, storage and output. These are the 4 basic operations performed by any computer: input operation, processing operation, storage operation and output operation. First one is input operation. It is the process of accepting data or information. Whenever we input any data or information or program to a computer, that is called an input operation. Second, processing operation. Processing is the manipulation of data into useful form. Manipulation means performing any kind of operation over the data. If the data is numeric, so maybe there are some mathematical operations performed on that data. If the data is any other form, so accordingly that data will be processed and different types of operations will be performed on that particular data or program. That's why we are using the word manipulation. Manipulation means performing any kind of operations or processing the data. Data is most of the time a set of raw facts which has got no meanings. So it must be processed and it must be manipulated. Some operations should be performed on the data to transform that meaningless data into a meaningful information. And for this transformation of data into information, we need processing operation. So once we input the data in the input operation, then in the processing operation that data will be transformed into information, and on the basis of that meaningful information we take decisions. A third basic operation performed by the computer, that is storage operation. Okay, we have got the input, we processed the input, and now we have the information or a meaningful information on which we can make predictions and we can make decisions. And now we want to store that information or that results of the processed data. So for that purpose we need a storage operation. It is the process of storing or retaining the data or information or instructions so that the user can retain and retrieve it whenever required. So the main purpose of storing the information or data or instruction is to reuse the same data, information or programs in the future. Maybe we need that program or information or data in the coming future, so that we can use it easily or we can retrieve that data or information easily. For that purpose we used to store the information or data or programs in our computer, and for that reason we perform the storage operation. So storage operation is the process of storing and retaining the data or information or instructions so that the user can retain and retrieve it whenever required. The fourth basic operation performed by a computer, that is output operation. It is the result which comes from the transformation process, or it is the outcome of the process. Once we got the input, processed it, then the output or the result or the information or the information on which we can make decisions, that is called the output. So that output can be stored in a storage device, as well as it can be displayed to the user by using an output device. So in these four basic operations, different four types of devices or components of a computer are involved. If we see the input operation, so input devices are involved. For getting different types of input, different types of devices are used. If you want to input a text, we use keyboard. If you want to input an image, so for that reason we use the digital camera or scanner. If you want to input voice, so for that reason we use the input device, microphone. And for processing, the CPU is used, central processing unit, or the microprocessor is used. For storage operation, we use the hard disk space and other secondary storage devices. And the output operation is performed with the help of output devices, like for displaying the information or text we use the monitor, which is an output device, and for audio output we use the speakers. So, and for hard copy output we use the printer. So different output devices are also there for different kinds of output. Here in this diagram, these four different operations performed by a computer are represented. If we see, the first step is to give input to a computer, or the first operation which is going to be performed by a computer, that is input, which is performed by the input unit or input device. So whenever we enter any program or data, that is through the input unit. Then from the input unit, that data or program, they are loaded inside the memory. Here one thing we should notice, that the input devices are controlled by the control unit. By the instructions or by the command of control unit, the input devices accepts input and loads into the memory unit. Memory unit means that is your RAM, the primary memory actually. Then by the control of control unit, the memory unit provides the information to the arithmetic logic unit. If the instructions or the program or the data needs to be manipulated, or there are some arithmetic or logical operations are required to be performed, so the data from the memory unit will be transferred to the arithmetic logic unit, which is actually the part of the CPU. Control unit, register, and arithmetic logic unit, these three are actually the microprocessor, or these are part of the central processing unit, CPU. And once the arithmetic logic unit performs the operations, one thing we should notice, that arithmetic logic unit is also controlled by the control unit and with the help of registers, which keeps the recently executed instructions. So once these all operations are performed, so the data can be again stored inside the memory unit, and further the memory unit can store data into the secondary storage with by the instruction of control unit or CPU. So this is how all these different operations are associated with each other, and at the end we can see that whenever the program is completely done, so we can produce the result with the help of output unit or output devices, which is also controlled by the control unit. So this picture actually represents these four different operations or basic operations performed by the computer. You must learn this diagram, and you must practice this diagram by drawing it several times. So you should be able to draw the diagram in exam. It's a very important diagram. Now, computer software. First of all, we will define the term software. Software is a computer program which consists of set of instructions that tell what to do and how to do. So, software actually tells the computer that what to do and how to do, and it's a set of instructions. Software is intangible in nature, that is, cannot be touched. So you already know this, that software is intangible, it does not exist physically, it's a non-physical component of the computer, so we cannot touch it. Without software, a computer is useless. As I told you that a computer is actually composed of two things, that is hardware and software. Both are essential components of the computer. Without hardware, computer does not exist, and without a software, computer is useless. Types of software. There are two main types of software: system software and application. These are the two main types of software: system software and application software. Now, system software, the software which operates the computer's hardware is called system software, for example, operating system and device driver. The system software, or especially the operating system, it gives life to the computer's hardware. Without having operating system, a computer is dead and it is useless. And further, device drivers are used for specific devices to operate. So system software actually makes the computer's hardware to operate. Second type of software, that is application software, a software which is developed to help the user to perform specific tasks is called application software. For example, MS Office, we use MS Office for different documentation purposes, and in MS Office we have so many other different applications, like Microsoft Word used for documentation, Microsoft Excel used for calculations, and Microsoft PowerPoint used for preparing presentations, Outlook, which is an email client, and we have so many other application softwares like Adobe Photoshop. We used to Adobe Photoshop for editing images or producing graphics. IDM Internet Download Manager, it is also a very useful application software. So many application softwares are there, and they are used for specific purposes. If we divide the whole computer system into different layers, so it will look like this, as shown in this image, that at the very bottom, or at the lowest level, we have the hardware, and on top of the hardware we used to install our operating system, and then on top of the operating system we used to install our application software, and then the user actually interacts with the application software, and the application software used to perform the operations needed by the user with the help of operating system. And the operating system actually acts like a bridge between the hardware and the application software, and in the same way the application software is acting like a bridge between the operating system and hardware and the user. So this is how the computer system can be divided into different layers, that a user interacts with the application software, and then the application software interacts with the operating system, and the operating system operates the hardware, or it can interact with the hardware to perform operations and different kinds of functions. I hope you all understand this concept. This is just for your understanding. This image is not included in your book, but this is just to clear your concepts. System software. System software consists of programs that control the operations of the computer and its devices. System software also serves as the interface between the user and the application software and hardware. As I told you that operating system is a kind of system software, so it acts or it serves as the interface between the user, the application software and hardware. It provides us the environment to work with the computer or to utilize the computer for our needs or for performing different types of operations. The main types of system software are operating system, device drivers, utility programs and language translators. These are the four main types of system software. Operating system is a very important system software. Without operating system, our computer is useless. And there are so many other operating systems. So many operating systems are available in the world nowadays, but most of us, we are using Microsoft Windows. Nowadays we are using Microsoft Windows 7, 8 and some people are using Windows 10. So these are the latest operating system by Microsoft. The people who are using Apple or Mac, they are using Mac operating system. Device drivers are there for each and every peripheral device. There are specific device drivers which needs to be installed before using that specific device. Utility programs are there which perform the operations related to the management of the computer system, and language translators are also there. We will discuss all these four different types of system software in more detail in the coming lesson, but here we have to just define the system software and mention its main types. Here in this diagram we can see that the software is divided into two types, that is system software and application software, and further we can see that the system software is divided into four types, which is operating system, device drivers, utility programs or utility software and language translators. So these four are the basic types of system software. And system software and application software, they are actually the main two types of software in our computer. So in the coming lesson we will discuss the operating system, device driver, utility programs and language translators in more detail, inshallah. Okay, so students, that's it for today. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Computer Tuition Academy. Thanks a lot. Take care. Allah Hafiz.